Hi, my besties. How are you doing? Welcome back to another episode of Tea and Takes with your host, Simi. I hope your December is going fabulously. I hope, it's beginning to look a lot like Christmas where you are. And I hope you're rounding up work and you're not like me that's going to likely work to the end of the year. Anyways, let's jump right into today's topic. So today, I have been thinking about the cognitive dissonance of wanting to be whimsical and light-hearted and easygoing and soft, and but knowing the reality of the world and the fact that you have to be aware people do not give you what you give them. Just the cognitive dissonance between sort of being hyper, like very aware, deservedly so, of the world and its dangers and moving accordingly and speaking on it accordingly and simultaneously still sort of staying soft. So before I continue, I've been accused numerous times of using too much grammar. So I think off the top of my head, I'm going to just define cognitive dissonance because that might be a word that maybe some people are not familiar with. So cognitive dissonance is is a mental tension that you feel when you have two opposing truths that you believe. Um, Maybe I'll think to myself right now is okay. Let me use this example of what I want to talk about because I was trying to think of another example. Is basically two contradicting ideas, right? In the case of my thought of today, a discomfort between, oh, in this world I want to stay positive, I want to be easygoing. However, the world is dangerous. People don't always have good intentions. Or like, I want peace. I want everything. I want to act like the world is like just like la la land and there is no negative. However, the world is as the world is. And so I must stay aware of the negatives so that I can protect myself from it. Yeah. So that's where that cognitive dissonance comes in. So I was thinking of it towards um things like friendship and like love because I guess I was just reflecting on things like my friendships over the years. And I was thinking of how like some of the people that I'm no longer friends with, like, or I haven't been friends with in years and years, I still love them. And even at the time when I separated from being friends with them, I did love them. You understand? I still wish them well. However, as much as, and I am a whimsy individual, I think I need to start from that, and that's where the cognitive dissonance came in. I think that some people, they're not necessarily whimsy, they're very adulty in their way of life, they're very serious and strict, but that's not how I am. I'm in my general, you know outlook of life. I'm the type of person who wears pink 247, who um laughs easily, who makes jokes easily. I try to be whimsy. I like a lot of whimsy things. I read, romance novels. I'm always watching some romance K drama. I just try to be lighthearted. However, I'm also like quote unquote deep. I'm introspective. I have this, I don't know if it's a positive or negative thing, where I'm able to tell character traits of individuals or just like red flags a bit early. And so it means that as much as I want to be whimsy about people, I just have the eyes that sees people for who they truly are, both negative and positive. And so yeah, that makes for a very cognitive dissonance filled life where it's like, oh, I want to be just this whimsy person that's like happy with everyone, easygoing, and everybody's like, oh, Simi's so easygoing, and Simi's so nice, and she just does this. However, I see the smallest changes. I see people's intentions long before they themselves can see it, and so it makes for such a complex life that I wish was not the case. And I was thinking of it towards even as a woman that is, dating. How it's like you don't want to be the misandrist, or at least I don't want to be the misandrist that is that thinks that all men are evil people and blah blah blah. I'm not speaking against those who believe that, because they have their experiences that have informed that, and it's their right to feel the way they feel, as long as they're not harming anyone. However, I don't want to feel that way, and I don't feel that way, and I never want to feel that way, because I think that they are bad people, both men and women. However, I am aware, both from my experiences from dating and from the experiences of women that are around me, that I have met both closely and not closely. I've just observed their relationships, and I have seen that, even as I've said, from my own relationships too, I have seen that people can be terrible. I'm trying to pick my words. I've seen that people can be terrible. People can be manipulative. They can be narcissistic. They can be, opportunistic. They can be, you know, just bad people who, like, immediately they see you're even sort of soft-hearted and you're peaceful. It doesn't occur to them to want to give you back that peace. It's their immediate call to take advantage of you and treat you very badly. So, you know, I'm also someone who recognizes patterns. So, meaning that I hardly ever leave a place without learning the lesson and saying, like, oh, this, and this caused this. Meaning that if I see it elsewhere, before it even happens finally, I can almost tell, like, a story how it would have happened, because I've observed previous patterns, both in my life and in the life of others, right? So imagine that I have pattern recognition skills, and I can see that the way you've done X, Y, Z, X, Y is going to end in Z. However, I want to be whimsical, right? I want to believe that the world is good. I want to believe that, I want to, all the positive things they tell you to, motivation. Oh, you need to believe, speak what you believe in, the blah, blah, blah. And you want to believe that. And especially since I'm whimsical in other areas of my life, just like the generic areas of my life, I want to be whimsical in relational areas as well. I want to just believe that, like, life is good, and people you meet will not be suspicious or weird, or would not want to take advantage, or try to look for areas in which you're disadvantaged, or they perceive you are as disadvantaged and want to sort of um harp on it and use it to harm you. Do you understand? So I want to believe that everyone is just like, oh, black and white, good people. If I do good, I'll receive good. But I can see, I think that that's another thing that I don't like about it. It's like your brain sees statistics. So if you have experienced something a gazillion times, it's sort of also hard for you to tell your brain to be whimsical, even if you want to be, right? And if you're also now seeing the sign of it coming your way, then how do you tell your brain, like, yeah, just don't believe? Because that's also foolish, right? It's not sensible to tell yourself that, oh, I see that this person is bad for me. This could be friendship, this could be even in your family. Like, I see that this person literally is harming me, hates my freaking guts, and does things that are harmful to me. However, because I want to remain whimsical, or I want to be perceived as a nice person or easygoing person, let me just, like, roll around and see the person literally cause me harm and just be like, okay, you can literally kill me, and I'm just gonna sit here because I want to be easygoing. I think that that's not realistic, right? So, I guess this is me for myself and for anyone else who is feeling that this way, like a form of self therapy of, what do we do? What do we do to make sure that, as much as we're hyper aware or we're learning, that's another thing. I'm sure that there's some people in the stages of their life, and I don't think that stage ever goes away, where we're meeting new people. So we are gathering new data of like, oh, when I see this, I need to know that this is this type of person. When somebody does A and B, this might be the conclusion. So I need to watch out for that, right? We're all having that data collection, and it is necessary because the world is the survival of the fittest world. If you decide to put your head in the air and act like everything is just perfect when it isn't, then you will get harmed, and nobody's going to pity you that you got harmed. Everybody's going to be like, well, are you stupid? You saw one, two, three occur. Why didn't you take a hint? Why didn't you sort of obey the red flags? Why did you stay there? And they will be right. And then imagine if that happens repeatedly, because even though that harm had occurred to you once, twice, three times, you still did not learn. I don't think that there was any wisdom in that. But I think that the process of learning is also the process of sort of killing your whimsiness and your happiness and your positivity. So I'm thinking right now that what are the ways to not become jaded or just like someone who believes that everyone is bad and everything is this thing, and a way to still simultaneously keep alert, have all the knowledge that, because I think that maybe I've not acknowledged that enough, is that having knowledge is spoken negatively about a lot of times. It's like, oh, you're too hyper focused on negativity, you will not be happy that way, blah blah blah. And I get the point that they are coming from, because yeah, the brain doesn't know the difference between just learning and you experiencing it, and overly focusing on negativities can literally be you traumatizing yourself 2/7. However, learning what we need to learn is literal self-protection. So that is some positive, and that is a necessary positive. It's self-protection. It is the difference between person A, who was literally unalived because they didn't learn from the past, or they saw the harmful thing, the signs of the harmful thing, but they decided that they wanted to be just nice. And the difference between person B, who saw the harmful thing and was like, and fought back, and was able to escape that harmful situation because of it. I think, to me, what I'm deciding to do is, as much, for every focus I for every effort I focus on the practicalities of life, which is that, oh, people might not be good in this way, that way, or this way, I must simultaneously spend just as much time in investing in being positive in that same area. So, meaning, if I read or I experience maybe a negative friendship experience, so I experienced that a friend is like maybe being, I don't know, using me or being manipulative or whatever, or I read a story about it that is negative, or that is like, oh, these are the signs you used to know if this person is going to be this, I must simultaneously spend just as much time consuming positive friendship stories or experiences. I must go to my friends who are positive, who do the opposite of what that person who has done the negative thing has done. I must go to them so that I experience their positivity and it can balance it out. Or I must even invest in overpowering the positive with the negative, so that I am sort of proving to myself that the positive exists. And I believe in like the law of attraction. I really believe in that. So let's see, this is an experiment, I guess. If I do a 2-for-1, so meaning that if I have one negative experience, I go and invest in getting at least two positive experiences, two whimsy, quote unquote, delulu experiences that proves to myself that just as the negative exists, the positive also exists. And let me see if focusing on the positive despite the negative will make me sort of, what's this word they used to call it? Like declaration that all the positives that are wherever in my vicinity, all over the world, sort of attract itself to me because I'm choosing to focus on that. Because I think that the beautiful thing about positivity is and focusing on it is that it's so good for your mental health. You feel happy, you feel like you can be in the middle of things that might be chaotic and just feel like a sense of peace, and peace is so important. So yeah, I think that this is as much for me as for anyone else. And so anyone who actually has tips on balancing out this cognitive dissonance, I will actually greatly appreciate you dropping a comment. I will still be thinking through if there are other tips I have to basically help me with this. And in the meantime, I will try to invest more in things that make me stay whimsical, because I think that's the person I want to be. I don't think I want to be, dark and brooding. So yeah, but I will actually appreciate your comments and any extra tips you have apart from this my 2-to-1 strategy. But yeah, I think that's about it. All right, everyone. Till next time. Bye.